Alright, good morning everyone. Here we are with break 422. We have a 26 League Heroes combo break and the combo features the 26 League Heroes sealed case, 2 26 League Heroes hobby boxes, and 5 26 League Heroes starter packs. Our team list for this one: Broncos, Johnny D; Raiders, Stephen Murray; Bulldogs, Johnny D; Sharks, Terry Lynch; Dolphins, Joshua Bignell; Titans, Lee Marschall; Manly, Johnny D; Storm, Shaun Edwards; Knights, Jeremy Thomas; Cowboys, Paul Cohen; Eels, Rod Staples; Panthers, Lauren Plath; Rabbitohs, Eddie Sheridan; Dragons, Tarren Tairaki; Roosters, Tony Luxton; Warriors, Peter Lowe; and Tigers, Greg King. Alright, I didn't mention that before we got started on that. But once again, if you weren't part of the RAS, we do have renovations going on. They are about to go for Smoko, so they should be stopped for quite a while. Anyway, we have time. They may interrupt us a little bit, but we'll work through it, guys. We will get through it. All right. Yeah, that's all right. We'll work through it. We'll be right. Morning, Tony. Welcome, buddy. Good luck. Let's get these open and get these bonus packs out. Excuse me. Oh, come on. Morning, Lee. Good luck in the break. All right, and that is all our starter packs open. Let's just make sure these cards are where they're supposed to be, and we'll get them open. All right. First up for the Broncos, Adam Reynolds. For the Warriors, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. For the Knights, Kalen Ponga. I don't have my team list up. There we go. For the Roosters, Marky Mark. And for Manly, Toby Turbo for Manly. Alright, let's get these packets open and we'll get stuck into the case. G'day, Josh. Good luck, mates. League heads, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Luminous Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Game Breakers, Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. Game Breakers, Fletcher Sharp for the Knights. Luminous Latu Fainu for the Tigers. I would have said it the other way around, though, Josh. Breaker and breakies. Colour die cut, Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Tom Gilbert for the Titans. I assume that's what the emoji was, trying to working out if that was right, wrong, or indifferent. Bang, Bailey Haywood for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Wade Egan for the Warriors. League heads, Hammer for the Dolphins. Luminous, Marky Mark for the Roosters. League heads, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Luminous, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Game breakers, Sanua Taruva for Tigers. Luminous, Mitch Kenny for Panthers. That is Sunday, yeah? That's not them outside, them working. Yeah, right. Gladiators. Wade Egan for the Warriors, number 69. Yeah, she's already gone. Yeah, she's already gone. Luminous, Josh Kerr for the Dragons. Yeah, right, that was intense. I don't know if that come through the mic or not, but we just had, obviously we got the workers at first, I thought it was them, but no, that was the thunder rumbling. God. League heads, Connor Watson for the Roosters. Luminous, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Red Triumph for the Dolphins. Luminous, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. 4 packets left. Bang, Alfiana Campiera for Titans. Luminous, Angelina for Bulldogs. Well, that's what I've been sitting here thinking, Josh, because that was intense, but it was only the one, so fingers crossed. It's not the power I'm worried about, it's the internet, to be honest. Bang, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Luminous, Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Oh, the horses just made an appearance, look out. So Billy's been visiting since he was a pup, and it's been quite interesting to watch him grow. Panthers tie cut, Asaya Papali'i for Panthers. Luminous, Fanua Pole for Tigers. Five-star Boyd. We've only just started. Give me a moment. Let me open some cards. But no, there's been nothing major. We've hit a Gladiators out of the packets, and obviously we have our 5 league head stars that we got. League heads, Roger Tuivasa Shep for the Warriors, and Luminous Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Alright, so that is our starter packs done. Let's get the boxes out of the case. And I'll forgive you, Panthers. We are running half an hour behind our usual start time, so normally when you're checking around now, we are a bit more into it. But no, we've just done our starter pack so far. Alright. We might have to shut that back door if that rain keeps getting heavier. Hopefully it's just rain and the lightning and thunder stays away. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. Can't hear it. Alright, box number 1. It's quite funny watching him watching Billy the dog get the zoomies in the house. He just goes balls up into the wall, sliding everywhere. League heads Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous Isaac Tago for Panthers. Game breakers Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Luminous Alifiana Khan-Kiera for Titans. Colour die cut Isaac Tago for Panthers. Luminous Addo Carr for the Eels. League heads Dominic Young for the Knights. Luminous Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Gladiators Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Number 318. Luminous Dominic Young for the Knights. League heads Stefano Utakamanu for Storm. Luminous Hamoli Olika R2 for Manly. Game breakers KO Weeks for the Raiders. Luminous Lindsay Collins for Roosters. Bang Zach Labour for Cowboys. Between an unsealed case and a sealed case, others than the obvious. Nothing really. You sort of, if you know it's a sealed case, you expect a certain amount of hits out of it. If it's not a sealed case, well, you don't know. Yeah. Mohiki Fotoika for the Titans. It was just a bunch of loose boxes thrown together. Then there could be anything in it. It could be really good. It could be really bad. League heads Alex Twal for the Tigers. Luminous Ali Brigginshaw for the Broncos. Mercury Liam Martin for Panthers. Number 264. Look out, Panthers edits. Couple of big hits for you. Well, you're getting excited over the die cuts, so Jermaine Isako, Luminous for the Dolphins. Gonna couple of the die cuts now, and now the Mercury. Game breakers, Lehe Hopewate for Manly. Luminous, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Die cut, Terrell May for the Tigers. I like the I don't know element as long as it's in our favour. Luminous Casey McLean for Panthers. I'm not exactly sure what that means. League heads, Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. For us, it comes down like the way, I don't know, it may have been before TLA, but when I've come on board and started doing these TLA, you were guaranteed a certain amount of hits per case. You got your 2 premiership predictors, your black, your white, authentic signatures. And then you had a chance of your legend signature one in every few cases and things like that. So you sort of knew what to expect for unsealed case breaks. Yeah, well, have fun. Game breakers, Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. Luminous Samai Matorfa for the Raiders. There's definitely a couple of people out there that if they told me it was an unsealed case, I would be interested based on that as well. Like, you know, it's just cases that boxes that they've managed to put together. And I'm referring to Jared Reeves there. Like, if he was to put a random case together, you could guarantee that it's fair and it could go off. Tamir Martin, Luminous for the Warriors. But yeah, unfortunately, there's just too many new people in it that I wouldn't trust things like that. League heads, Sam Verrills for the Titans. Luminous Jai Gray for the Rabbitohs. And that was a gold triumph, guys, that we put down while we were talking. Bang, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Reed Marnie for Cowboys. Game breakers, Hugo Savala for the Roosters. Luminous Damien Cook for the Dragons. Bang, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Luca Moretti for the Eels. Die cut, Alifiana Khan Piera for Titans. Luminous Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. League heads, John Bateman for the Cowboys. Luminous James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. League heads, Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. Luminous Gahamat Shabarsky for Broncos. Game breakers, Tamika Upton for the Broncos. Luminous Jacob Preston for Bulldogs. No Sharkies. Where's the Sharkies? Come on. Bang, Toltor Koala for Manly. Luminous Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Red Triumph, Roger Tuivasa Sheck for Warriors. Luminous Keezy Apps for the Tigers. League Heads, Jareem Buller for Tigers. A Luminous Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. We have more Luminous albums in stock, guys. Just arrived this morning, ready to go. So if you've been looking for them, waiting for them, they are back in stock. Game Breakers, Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. And there's the first Sharks hit of the break. League Heads, Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Luminous Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Game Breakers, Brian To'o for Panthers. I'm pretty sure this one's Ultra. Is it Ultra Pro or BCW? Says it down the front. Ultra Pro. Yasmin Cleatsdale for the Knights. And I'm pretty sure it was eBay at the time. We've had them for a lot. Pardon? Yeah, we've had them for ages, so I'm sure there's plenty of places that you can pick them up from. And there's other versions now too. BCW has interlocking single ones and all sorts of things. So it depends on what you're looking for. League Heads, Nathan Cleary. For Panthers, we actually don't use them except for the breaks. It's the only time we now use them. Val Holmes for the Dragons. Most things we thought wouldn't fit in the trays once it was finished, so Triumph for the Cowboys. Luminous Big Tino for Titans. Bang, Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Luminous Kale Iro for the Sharks. League Heads, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. No, you need the white boxes. If you've got that amount of cards, you need to get the white boxes you can see on the table. They're the game changer. If you're talking like, yeah, I mean it's up to everyone how they want to store their stuff, but obviously if it was me, I'd be putting my collection into the series albums. That would be my goal. I'd probably have some one-off PC items, certain signatures, in a display case or something along those lines. But anything bulk I had left over would be going into them white boxes for sure. Cody Nikarima for Dolphins. And my recommendation, since I'm talking about it and telling you should use them, 3,000 count. Don't go to the bigger ones because they get too big and bulky and heavy when they're full. Stick to the 3,000s. They're nice and simple. Game Breakers, Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jason Saab for Manly. And that's just my opinion, guys. Each to their own, as I said. Colour die cuts, Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Ryan Papenhuyzen for Storm. Bang, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Luminous, Lycan King Togia for Dragons. It's when I saw teams during collecting season, but yeah, glass case would be good. I can't remember if it's Kmart or Big W. Now sells a graded card case, a wall hanger. I was seeing that the other day. Assuming that's obviously aimed more at the TCG collectors. I think that's their main market in those shops. Let me get rid of these cards before we keep going. Game breakers, Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Luminous, Ethan Bullymore for Manly. Bang, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luminous, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. League heads, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous, Kurt Capewell for the Warriors. See, when we normally open for the website, most of the time we sort our base straight away, and then we have our insert piles spread around, ready. Numbers go to scanning, non-numbered stuff gets counted and listed straight away. But the base cards get sorted into their teams, and until we're ready to go past that, they get stored in the white boxes in their team lots until they're ready to be sorted into individuals. Yes, I agree with that. They've updated the app, as everyone would have seen. They've replaced Paps and Lomax in the Dally M predictors. Zach Laybutt die cut for Cowboys. Luminous Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. I think I only just seen the app was updated this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it to see what it looks like with these cards. AFL, I mean, if you're collecting and you're using that to keep track of your collection so you know what you're chasing easily, well, that's a pretty good idea actually. Reuben Cotter for Cowboys. Bang, Jermaine Isako for Dolphins. Luminous Dream Buller for the Tigers. Triumph Red Christian for the Dragons. Luminous Jamie Chapman for Titans. Oh, no way. Die Die cut, Cody Nikarima for the Dolphins. Luminous Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Game Breakers, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Luminous Hudson Young for the Raiders. I'm actually surprised they don't have an Android app, emulator for iOS. Oh, predictor. League heads, Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. Luminous Lakahalasima for Warriors. League heads, Dry Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Xavier Coates for Storm. Colour die cut, Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. Luminous Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Game Breakers, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Luminous Dylan Egan for the Dragons. Mercury Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs, number 328. Luminous Abbey Church for the Eels. League heads, Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Not good news on him. Luminous Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Bang Jalen DeGroot for Titans. Luminous Hammer for the Dolphins. Gladiators, Morgan Smithies for the Raiders, number 385. Luminous Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. League heads, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Nico Hines for the Sharks. Game Breakers, Lachlan Elias for the Dragons. Luminous Lehe Hopewate for Manly. Bang Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Luminous Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. League heads, AJ Grimson for the Titans. Luminous Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Red Triumph, Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. League heads, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Luminous Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. Game breakers Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Luminous Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. League heads Damien Cook for the Dragons. Luminous Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut Jason Saab for Manly. Luminous Apasai Coruscant for Tigers. League heads Corey Horsburgh for Raiders. Luminous Liam Martin for Panthers. League heads Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Luminous Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Game breakers Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Luminous Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Game breakers Taylor Preston for the Bulldogs. Luminous Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Bang Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Dylan Brown for the Knights. League heads Bradman Best for the Knights. Luminous Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Colour die cut Gehamat Shabarsky for the Broncos. Luminous Ben Hunt for the Broncos. Game breakers Zach Lomax for the Eels. Luminous Isaiah Iongi for the Eels. Bang James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. League heads Ruben Cotter for Cowboys. Luminous Taylor Preston for the Bulldogs. And that's another box down. Bang Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous Max King for the Bulldogs. League heads Hamoli Olika Atu for Manly. Luminous Lyshan Albert Jones for the Warriors. Game breakers Cameron Munster for Storm. Luminous Reece Walsh for the Broncos. League heads, Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. Luminous, Tolator Koala for Manly. Game breakers, Payne Haas for Broncos. Luminous, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Gladiators, Ethan Blimore for Manly, number 325. Luminous, Payne Haas for Broncos. League heads, Brian Kelly for Titans. Luminous, Sebastian Chris for Raiders. Oh. Colour die cut, Connolly Loomy Lou for the Dolphins. Luminous, Abbey Church for the Eels. Game breakers, Kurt Capewell for the Warriors. Luminous, Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Bang, Damien Cook for the Dragons. Luminous, Isaiah Yo for Panthers. You missed what the second covered hit was. Oh, predictor. League heads, Max King for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Dylan Brown for the Knights. Premiership predictor, I'm pretty sure it was. Colour die cut, Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Luminous, Clinton Gutherson for Dragons. Game breakers, Emily Bass for the Tigers. Luminous, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Colour die cut, Greg Marschall for the Knights. Luminous, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. League heads, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Bang, Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Luminous, Taylor Preston for the Bulldogs. Game breakers, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous, Ethan Blimore for Manly. League heads, Connolly Loomy Lou for Dolphins. I'm starting to think Finn's Golden Shreds are a myth. Pretty sure I've seen a photo of one. Don't quote me on that. Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks in the Luminous. League heads, Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Luminous, Ben Hunt for the Broncos. Bang, Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. Luminous Isaiah Yongi for the Eels. I'm a bit jealous. You see people opening a single pack or a single box and they're hitting them. And we've opened this amount and we've only hit the 2 in the breaks. Yeah, game breakers. Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. I know someone got it in a box that we sent them. I know someone hit one. League heads Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. So it is just luck of the draw, guys. Matty Burton for the Bulldogs. Red Triumph in the Raiders. Jamie Chapman, Luminous for the Titans. League heads Sam Walker for the Roosters. Luminous Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Game breakers Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Luminous Hudson Young for the Raiders. Bang Marky Mark for the Roosters. Luminous Leka Halasima for Warriors. Colour die cut Leica King Toga for the Dragons. Luminous Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Mercury, the man himself, AJ for the Rabbitohs, number 218. Ooh. Luminous Kurt Capewell for the Warriors. Colour die cut Taylor May for the Tigers. Luminous Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. League heads Liam Martin for Panthers. Luminous Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Game breakers Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Dream Buller for the Tigers. League head Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Luminous Xavier Coates for Storm. Bang Xavier Coates for Storm. Luminous Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. 3 packets left for the box. League heads Luke Metcalf for Warriors. Luminous Dylan Egan for Dragons. Red Triumph Marky Mark for the Roosters. Luminous Lachlan Ilias for Dragons. And lucky last. Game Breakers, Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Luminous, Billy Smith for the Roosters. Make sure you check back later in the Facebook group, guys. I'll make sure I get the Pick the Score giveaway up today before I leave. So I can't use the @everyone, so you're going to have to look for it. Alright, box number 4. I only think about that because we're getting close to our 2,500 member giveaway cutoff. Colour die cut, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Bang, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Luminous, Luca Moretti for the Eels. League heads, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Luminous, James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. Game Breakers, Dream Buller for the Tigers. I don't even know how many that end up being, Josh. Yasmin Clydesdale for the Knights. 36 packets to a box, 360 packets for 10 boxes. 100 boxes is 3.5. Well, we're going 10,000 retail packets. I don't know. I lost count. Latrell Mitchell die cut for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Val Holmes for the Dragons. 25 cases. Have you hit any of the State of Oregon predictors? No, not in this break. Yes, I have in other breaks and hit the wild in the platinum. I hadn't checked the checklist properly and was quite surprised when I hit that. League heads, Moses Leota for Panthers. Big Tino Luminous for the Titans. Bang, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Luminous Keezy Apps for the Tigers. Game Breakers, Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Luminous Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. League heads, Val Holmes for the Dragons. Luminous Brighton Nakora for the Sharks. League heads, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Luminous Addo Carr for the Eels. Ooh. That's a big one. Robert Toya, luminous for the Roosters. We just had a Dally M predictor come out, guys. RSI. Yeah, right. League head Lehe for Manly. Luminous Samaima Torfa for the Raiders. Triumph Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Luminous Tamir Martin for Warriors. Colour die cut Isaiah Papali'i for Panthers. Luminous Kalen Ponga for the Knights. League heads Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Luminous Lycan King Togia for the Dragons. Game Breakers Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Luminous Isaac Tago for Panthers. Actually haven't checked the Dally M at the moment, where everyone's standing after the first 3 rounds. Campbell Graham, bang for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Alafiana Khan Piera for Titans. Game Breakers Harry Grant for Storm. Luminous Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. League heads Junior Paulo for the Eels. Luminous Nico Hines for the Sharks. Bang Bradman Best for the Knights. I can't remember the exact wording on it, so I don't want to comment on that one. Lehau Wate, Luminous for Manly. But I'm pretty sure if it's the team wins, or is wild card anyone not on the team for the Platinums, because the wild cards aren't in the goal. Game Breakers Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Luminous Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. League heads Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Luminous Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Colour die cut Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Luminous Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Bang AJ Brimson for the Titans. Luminous Nelson Asafa Solomona for Storm. There you go. League heads Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Luminous Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Mercury Tamale for the Raiders, number 20. Luminous the Hammer for Dolphins. Excuse me. Game Breakers, Kira. Oh, you kidding me? Alright, that still should be fine. Right, it's back. YouTube likes doing that to me. Game Breakers, Kira Dib for the Cowboys. Luminous Cohen Hess for the Cowboys. I'm just watching the video back now and it doesn't look like it dropped out at all. Game Breakers, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Bellamy Kickout for the Bulldogs. And I'm just checking the mic feedback, sorry guys, because normally when something like that happens, the mic plays up. We do have some noise going on from the construction work. It's not very much, but I can see it's getting picked up. But I think we're good, guys. We'll be right. Gladiators, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights, 189. Apasai Coruscant, Luminous for Tigers. League Heads, Harry Grant for the Storm. Luminous Liam Martin for Panthers. Game Breakers, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous Kale Hero for the Sharks. Bang Dream Buller for the Tigers. Luminous Cody Nicarima for the Dolphins. League Heads, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Luminous Jason Saab for Manly. Red Triumph, Murray Tairaki for Cowboys. Luminous Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. 2 packets left for the box. Game Breakers, White for the Roosters. Luminous Gehamat Shabarsky for the Broncos. League Heads, Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Luminous Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Alright, let's tidy these up. Alright, next box. Colour die cut Eliza Katoa for Storm. Lindsay Collins, Roosters Luminous. Game Breakers Alex 12 for Tigers. Luminous Mawaki Fodawaika for Titans. Bang Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Ali Brigginshaw for Broncos. Colour die cut Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. League Heads Mawaki Fodawaika for Titans. Luminous Regan Campbell Gillard for the Titans. Bang Marky Mark for the Roosters. Luminous Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Game Breakers AJ Brimson for the Titans. Luminous Blaze Tairaki for Panthers. League Heads Ben Hunt for the Broncos. Luminous Tom Starling for the Raiders. Mercury Kale Hero for the Sharks, number 255. Luminous Tamika Upton for the Broncos. League Heads Bailey Haywood for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jesse Ramian for Sharks. League Heads Marky Mark for the Roosters. Luminous Jermaine Ozako for the Dolphins. Game Breakers Trent LaRoe for Storm. Luminous Jerome Hughes for Storm. Red Triumph for Manly. Luminous Casey McLean for Panthers. Colour die cut Junior Paulo for the Eels. Luminous Chan Nicole Klokstad for Warriors. League Heads Apposite Coruscant for the Tigers. Luminous Ethan Sanders for the Raiders. Game Breakers Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Luminous William Kennedy for Sharks. Bang Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Sotili Tupanua for the Bulldogs. Game Breakers Dominic Young for Knights. Luminous Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. League Heads Jermaine Isako for Dolphins. Luminous Ben Chaboyevich for Manly. Colour die cut Tamir Martin for the Warriors. Luminous Sanua Taruva for Tigers. League Heads Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous Will Penasini for the Eels. Bang Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Jonah Pezzett for Storm. Game Breakers Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Luminous Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Red Triumph Cameron Munster for Storm. Luminous Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Game Breakers Sotili Tupanua for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jai Gray for the Rabbitohs. League Heads Greg Marsu for the Knights. Luminous Reed Marnie for the Cowboys. Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks, number 537. Luminous Shaun Russell for the Eels. League Heads Tom Starling for the Raiders. Luminous Zali Hopkins for Warriors. Colour die cut Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Luminous Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. Game breakers. Kale Iro for the Sharks. Luminous Jermaine McEwen for the Knights. Bang, Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Luminous James Tedesco for the Roosters. League heads William Kennedy for the Sharks. Luminous Max Plath for the Dolphins. Bang, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Damien Cook for the Dragons. Game breakers Luca Moretti for the Eels. Luminous Adam Dewey for Tigers. 2 packets left for the box. League heads Joash for the Eels. Luminous Dominic Young for the Knights. Last packet for box. League heads Keon Colin Matengi for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Homoli Olika R2 for Manly. Yeah, they will because it just has to. Not ideal, but it will be okay. Give me a moment, guys. I am just going to quickly grab a drink. I'll be back in 2 secs. Alright, here we are. Box number 6. Funny, as soon as I muted it to go get a drink, the sound intensified quite a bit. It was good timing to mute the stream. Alright, box number 6. Let's go. Feel like this one's starting to drag on, but I've got to remember this did start half an hour later, so I think we're doing alright. League heads Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Luminous Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. Bang Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Luminous Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. League heads Brian To'o for Panthers. Luminous Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Colour die cut Peter for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Carl Lawton for the Cowboys. Game Breakers, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Luminous Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut Will Penasini for the Eels. Luminous Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. League Heads Terrell May for the Tigers. Luminous Hugo Savala for Roosters. Bang Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Pelago Luminous for Storm. Don't quote me, I'm pretty sure that's the replacement for Paps. Daly M. Game Breakers Dylan Egan for the Dragons. Luminous Brendan Smith for the Rabbitohs. League Heads Cameron Munster for Storm. Luminous Tamale for the Raiders. Bang Herbie Farmworth for Dolphins. Luminous Whenua Pole for Tigers. Game Breakers Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Luminous Cameron McInnes for Sharks. League Heads Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. Luminous Trent LaRoe for Storm. Game Breakers Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Luminous Jamal Fogarty for Manly. Colour die cut Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Luminous AJ Brimslin for the Titans. League Heads James Tedesco for the Roosters. Luminous Marata Nakor for Warriors. Bang Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Luminous Emma Veron for the Sharks. Colour die cut Robert Toya for the Roosters. Luminous Samula Fainu for Tigers. League Heads Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Luminous Ray Stone for Dolphins. Game breakers, Samaima Torfa for the Raiders. Luminous, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Bang, Hugo Savala for Roosters. Luminous, Philip Sammy for the Titans. League heads, Jason Saab for Manly. Luminous, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Mercury, Cam Munster for Storm. 107. Luminous, Dane Gagai for the Knights. Triumph, Alifiana Canberra for Titans. Luminous, Connor Watson for the Roosters. RTS in the Gladiators. 176 for the Warriors. And Angelina, Luminous for Bulldogs. League heads, Kurt Mann for Bulldogs. Yes, it's a nice looking card. Luminous, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Game breakers, Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Luminous, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. League heads, Keanu Kinney for Titans. Luminous, Jamie Humphries for the Rabbitohs. Game breakers, Campbell Graham for Rabbitohs. Luminous, Moses Leota for Panthers. Bang, Falago for Storm. Luminous, Jermaine Hopgood for Eels. League heads, Gahamat Shabarsky for Broncos. Luminous, Mackenzie Wheel for the Cowboys. Red Triumph in the Dolphins. Luminous, Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. 4 packets left for box number 6. League heads, Chance Nico Klokstad for the Warriors. Luminous, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Game breakers, Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Luminous, Billy Walters for Broncos. Colour die cut, Brian Kelly for the Titans. Luminous, Joseph Tarpane for Raiders. Game Breakers, Jerome Lowe for the Tigers. Luminous, Greg Marzu for the Knights. Alright, let's get these ones tidied up. Next box. Game Breakers, Bo Fermor for the Titans. Luminous, Josh Kerr for the Dragons. Colour die cut, Tanila Paseka for Manly. Luminous, Ruben Garrick for Manly. League Heads, Reece Walsh for Broncos. Luminous, Mitch Kenny for Panthers. Game Breakers, Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous, Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. League Heads, Fanua Pole for Tigers. Luminous, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Colour die cut, Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. Luminous, Latu Finu for Tigers. Game Breakers, James Tedesco for Roosters. Luminous, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Triumph, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Luminous, Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. League Heads, Cody Walker for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Bang, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Luminous, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. League Heads, KO Weeks for the Raiders. Luminous, Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. And our instant win for the case. Luminous, Bailey Haywood for Bulldogs. Bang, Chanel Harris Tavita for the Warriors. Luminous, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Game breakers Joash for Eels. Luminous Jalen de Groot for Titans. League heads Brighton Nakora for Sharks. Luminous Corey Horsburgh for Raiders. Jeremy Marshall King for the Dolphins. Luminous Cassie Hiku for the Eels. League heads Marata Nakor for the Warriors. Luminous Marky Mark for the Roosters. Bang Ruben Garrick for Manly. Luminous Tom Gilbert for Dolphins. Game breakers Valami Kicker for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Red Triumph Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Luminous Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Bal Holmes in the Mercury for Dragons, number 379. Luminous Loco Tonga for the Dragons. League heads Dylan Walker for the Eels. Luminous Luke Brooks for Manly. Game breakers Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Luminous Isaiah Katoa for Dolphins. Bang Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous Xavier Savage for Raiders. League heads Robert Toya for the Roosters. Luminous Georgia Hale for Titans. League heads Jaden Sewer for Dragons. Luminous Katoni Stags for Broncos. Game breakers Tanila Paseka for Manly. Luminous Isaiah Papalihi for Panthers. Bang Jai Gray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Jacob Carraz for Bulldogs. League heads Fletcher Sharp for the Knights. Luminous Alex Seafarth for the Tigers. Gladiators, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs, number 20. Luminous, Keon Colomatingi for Rabbitohs. Game Breakers, Liam Martin for Panthers. Luminous Ali Latua for the Warriors. League Heads, Ray Stone for Dolphins. Luminous Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. 4 packets left for the box. Game Breakers, Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Jessica Surgis, Luminous for Roosters. Bang, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. League Heads, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Luminous, Harry Grant for Storm. Colour die cut, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Luminous, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Alright, box is done. Clean these up and keep going. Box number 8. Game Breakers, Olivia Higgins for the Knights. Luminous, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. League Heads, Joseph Tarpane for the Raiders. Yeah, nice. Luminous, Alex Twal for the Tigers. I'm glad that worked out then, Lee. And hopefully there's some big prizes to get in those instant wins. Die cut, Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Luminous, Tarren Wishart for the Storm. More importantly, hopefully they release the list soon. I know a lot of people. Oh, there you go. Dad literally just checked and it's still not up. So hopefully they're not far away. They've been getting on top of a lot of things, such as the updates on the predictors and the app and things like that. So hopefully, all in all, they're not far away from that. Game Breakers, James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. And last time I was looking, there's no mention of redemptions being available as yet. I don't know what the go is with them. Kira Dib Luminous for the Cowboys in general. So yeah, Golden Treasures. That's why you don't see my head on camera, Josh. Red Triumph, Broncos, Luminous Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Everything you need to see is here. Nothing up here, we're good. League heads, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Sam Verrills for the Titans. Bang Sire Iongi for the Eels. And Luminous Bradman Best for the Knights. League heads, Caitlin Ponga for the Knights. Luminous Junior Paulo for the Eels. Oh, another Dally M. We have a wild card for that one. Felice Kafusi, Luminous for the Dolphins. League heads, Cameron Murray for Rabbitohs. Luminous Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Colour die cut, Molly Olakaatu for Manly. Luminous RTS for Warriors. Game Breakers, Herbie Farmworth for the Dolphins. Luminous Tiana Penatani Gray for the Sharks. Bang Laka Halasima for the Warriors. Luminous Terrell May for the Tigers. League heads, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jack Williams for the Eels. Mercury Jack Williams for the Eels. Number 374. Luminous Stefano Utkamanu for Storm. When I'm taking the photos, I feel like there's heavier teams than others, but I don't think there's any pattern to it. I think it's just random. Yeah. If there is, I haven't seen it or worked it out. Game Breakers, Billy Smith for the Roosters. Luminous KO Weeks for the Raiders. The only thing I've noticed, to be honest, is the women's are always the card above the hits. League heads, Jacob Little for the Dragons. Luminous Beau Fermor for the Titans. Bang, Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous Jason Tormalolo for Cowboys. I know, hey Peter. Even if one of them is me brother, that helps out. I mean, he helps out with the card. He works full time with the builders. Yeah, no, that's... Yes. League heads Cody Nicarima for the Dolphins. Zahara Temera for the Raiders. Bang, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Luminous Brian To'o for Panthers. League head Will Penasini for the Eels. Luminous Tui Kamikamika for Storm. Game breakers William Kennedy for the Sharks. Luminous Jake Trebojevic for Manly. Bang, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Luminous Shaun Kepi for the Rabbitohs. League heads Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Luminous Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Triumph Bronson Sherry for the Bulldogs. Luminous White for the Roosters. I'm not sure what ended up happening with Bronson Sherry after requesting the... Yeah, I knew he was playing down, but he's still playing for Bulldogs, isn't he? Oh, they didn't. Okay, I wasn't sure. Game breakers Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. I know Johnsy told him to basically get better. Come back. Jack Bostock Luminous for the Dolphins. League heads Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Luminous Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Colour die cut Tamale for Raiders. Luminous Fletcher Sharp for Knights. Game breakers Blaze Tairaki for Panthers. Luminous Luke Lawlelli for Tigers. Colour die cut Jeremiah Nanai for Cowboys. Luminous Murray Tairaki for Cowboys. League heads Alifiana Kanki Era for Titans. Luminous Chanel Harris Tavita for Warriors. Game breakers, Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Bang, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Luminous, Xavier Willison for Broncos. League heads, Ronaldo Mulitalo for Sharks. Luminous, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Game breakers, Bailey Simonson for the Eels. Luminous, Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Gladiators, Isaiah Iongi for the Eels. Number 334. Luminous, Dylan Walker for the Eels. And that's another box done. Let's get these tidy up. Yeah, I'm just going to drag these over here, get them a bit closer, give us some more room. Colour die cuts, Milwaukee Photo Waika for the Titans. Luminous, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Game breakers, Tegan Dimick for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Red Triumph for the Knights. Luminous, Tony Staggs for the Broncos. League heads, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Luminous, Harry Grant for Storm. Game breakers, Luke Brooks for Manly. Luminous, Georgia Hale for the Titans. League heads, Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons. Luminous, Josh Kerr for the Dragons. Colour die cut, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Ruben Garrick for Manly. League heads, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Luminous, Mitch Kenny for the Panthers. Game breakers, Julia Robinson for the Broncos. Luminous, Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Clive Churchill predictor. Luminous Bailey Haywood for the Bulldogs. League heads Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. Luminous Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Game breakers Chance Nicole Hockstad for the Warriors. Luminous Ronaldo Mulatalo for the Sharks. Bang Alifiana Khan Kiera for Titans. Luminous Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. League heads Big Tino for the Titans. Luminous Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Game breakers Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Luminous Loco Tong for Dragons. Mercury Jason Tormalolo for the Cowboys. Number 318. Luminous Luke Brooks for Manly. League heads Falago for Storm. Zokatoa Luminous for Dolphins. Bang Jason Saab for Manly. Luminous Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Red Triumph Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Luminous Sarah Togatuki for the Tigers. League heads Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Luminous Connolly Lumilu for the Dolphins. Game breakers Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Luminous Samuel Stonestreet for the Sharks. League heads Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Luminous Tanila Paseka for Manly. Bang Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Luminous Sam Walker for the Roosters. League heads Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Luminous John Bateman for the Cowboys. League heads Samula Fainu for the Tigers. Luminous Asaya Papalihi for Panthers. Bang Jack Bostock for the Dolphins. Luminous Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Game Breakers John Bateman for the Cowboys. Luminous Alex Seifert for the Tigers. Colour die cut Felice Kafusi for Dolphins. Luminous Keon Colin Matangi for the Rabbitohs. League Heads Morgan Smithies for the Raiders. Luminous Ali Latua for the Warriors. Bang Bailey Haywood for the Bulldogs. Luminous Jordan Ricky for the Broncos. Where are we up to? 6 packets left in the box. Game Breakers Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Luminous Jessica Surgis for the Roosters. Colour die cut Tom Starling for the Raiders. Luminous Mitchell Moses for the Roosters. Gladiators Val Holmes for the Dragons. Number 542. Luminous Jamin Salmon for the Bulldogs. 3 packets left. Game Breakers Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Cameron Munster for the Storm. Bang Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Luminous Brian Kelly for the Titans. And last packet for the box. League Heads Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Luminous Bailey Simonson for the Eels. And that is that for the box. Let's go box number 10 out of the case. Box number 10. Is it lucky number 10? Let's find out. Mercury Max Plath for the Dolphins. Number 231. Ezra Mam Luminous for the Broncos. Game Breakers Dane Gagai for the Knights. Luminous Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. League Heads Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Luminous Jai Arrow for the Rabbitohs. Bang Xavier Coates for Storm. Luminous Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Red Triumph Jermaine Isako for Dolphins. Luminous Cameron McInnes for Sharks. League Heads Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. Luminous Trent LaRoe for Storm. Bang Jesse Ramian for the Sharks. Luminous Jamal Bogarty for Manly. Game Breakers Abby Church for the Eels. Luminous AJ Brimson for Titans. Okay. Colour die cut Jack Williams for the Eels. Luminous Marata Nakor for the Warriors. Bang Lycan King Togia for the Dragons. Luminous Keanu Kinney for the Titans. League Head Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. Colour die cut Keon Kolometangi for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Angelina for the Bulldogs. Game Breakers Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Luminous Zach Lomax for the Eels. Oh, look, there you go. They heard ya. Gladiators Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins, number 388. Luminous Nathan Cleary for Panthers. League Heads Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Luminous Jamie Humphries for the Rabbitohs. Colour die cut Casey McLean for Panthers. Luminous Billy Walters for Broncos. League Heads Adam Fanua Blake for the Sharks. Luminous Moses Leota for Panthers. Red Triumph Milwaukee Fodawaika for Titans. Luminous Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Game Breakers Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Luminous Mackenzie Wheel for the Cowboys. League heads, Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Luminous, Jaden Sewer for the Dragons. Game breakers, Ali Latua for the Warriors. Luminous, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. League heads, Regan Campbell-Gillard for the Titans. Luminous, Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Bang, Sanoa Taruva for Tigers. Luminous, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Bang, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Luminous, Jalen DeGroot for Titans. League heads, Mitch Kenny for the Panthers. Luminous, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Game breakers, Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Luminous, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Game breakers, Big Tino for the Titans. Luminous, Joseph Tarpane for the Raiders. Bang, Josh for the Eels. Luminous, Greg Marsu for the Knights. League heads, Payne Huss for Broncos. Luminous, Cooley Kefu for Dolphins. Colour die cut, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. League heads, James Fisher-Harris for the Warriors. Luminous, Appy Nichols for the Warriors. Game breakers, Stephen Crichton for the Bulldogs. Luminous, Carl Lawton for Cowboys. League heads, Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Marky Mark for the Roosters. Game breakers, Tamale for the Raiders. Luminous, Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. At least I put it in the right slot before I got it out. Die cut, Billy Smith for the Roosters. Luminous, Wade Egan for the Warriors. And lucky last for box number 10. League heads, Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. And Luminous Latu Finu for Tigers. Alright, let's shift these ones out of the way. Let's have a drink. Alright, so technically we still have 4 boxes to go, guys, which is 2 retail and the 2 hobby. So let's get into box number 11. This is the second last box out of the case. We've so far got these hits to go through at the end. Don't forget all the things like Mercury and Gladiators, they're all automatically put into the slots. So these are your Gold Triumphs, your Premiership Predictors, your Dally M Predictors, Clive Churchill Rookies, Bang Tamale for Raiders, Luminous Tarren Wishart for the Storm. All the things that we're only getting 1 out of the case. So things like the Gladiators and the Mercuries, they're 1 per box. League heads, Tom Gilbert for the Dolphins. Luminous Kira Dib for the Cowboys. Game breakers, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Luminous Braden Trindle for the Sharks. League heads, Lachlan Galvin for the Bulldogs. Excuse me. Sam Verrills, Luminous for Titans. Colour die cut, Dream Buller for Tigers. Luminous Bradman Best for the Knights. Game breakers, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Lindsay Smith for Panthers. League heads, Ethan Bullymore for Manly. Luminous Fletcher Sharp for the Knights. Die cut, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Luminous Xavier Willison for Broncos. Yes, bits and pieces. Obviously our collection's growing on the table. League heads, Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. I reckon we've got a couple of big hits for the end to go through. Tommy Turbo, Luminous for Manly. A red Triumph, Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Luminous Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. League heads, Zach Lomax for the Eels. Luminous Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs. Game breakers, Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. Luminous Roger Tuivasa Sheck for Warriors. Bang, Bailey Hayward for Bulldogs. Luminous, Tiana Penatani Gray for Sharks. That's a big one. Game breakers, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Luminous, Junior Paulo for the Eels. League heads, Regan Campbell-Gillard for the Titans. Luminous, Felice Kafusi for Dolphins. Bang, Cameron Munster for the Storm. Luminous, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Game breakers, Alex Seifert for the Tigers. Luminous, Lachlan Elias for the Dragons. Red Triumph for the Rabbitohs. Luminous, Billy Smith for the Roosters. League heads, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Luminous, Max King for the Bulldogs. League heads, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Luminous, Terrell May for the Tigers. Colour die cut, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Luminous, Jack Williams for the Eels. League heads, Anfanua Blake for the Sharks. Luminous, Stefano Utikamanu for the Storm. Bang, Lehe Hopewate for Manly. Luminous, KO Weeks for Raiders. Jaden Campbell in the Gladiators, number 47. For Titans, Luminous Beau Fermor for the Titans. Game breakers, Tamir Martin for the Warriors. Luminous, Jason Tormalolo for the Cowboys. Game breakers, Olivia Koenig for the Roosters. Luminous, Lation Albert Jones for the Warriors. Colour die cuts, Chance Nicole Cockstad for the Warriors. Luminous, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. League heads, Kyle Flanagan for the Dragons. Luminous, Tolator Koala for Manly. Game breakers, Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Bang Ali Latua for the Warriors. Luminous Payne Haas for the Broncos. League Head Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Luminous Sebastian Chris for the Raiders. Oh, Dally M. Luminous Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Game Breakers Wade Egan for the Warriors. Luminous Angus Crichton for the Roosters. League Heads Xavier Coates for the Storm. Luminous White for the Roosters. 2 packets left for the box. Bang Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Jack Bostock, the Dolphins. And lucky last pack for box number 11. Mercury, Jason Saab for Manly, number 442. Luminous Alex Twal for the Tigers. And that's the end of box number 11. Last box of the case, box number 12. Triumph for the Storm. Luminous Jermaine McEwen for Knights. League Heads Hammer for the Dolphins. Luminous James Tedesco for the Roosters. Colour die cut Marcelo Montoya for the Bulldogs. Luminous Max Plath for the Dolphins. League Heads Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. Luminous Cameron Murray for Rabbitohs. League Heads Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Luminous Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Colour die cut Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Luminous Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Bang Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Luminous Sarah Togatuki for Tigers. Game Breakers Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Luminous Connolly Loomy Lou for Dolphins. Colour die cut Jermaine McEwen for the Knights. Luminous Samuel Stone Street for the Sharks. Game Breakers Tommy Dearden for the Cowboys. Luminous Regan Campbell Gillard for the Titans. Bang Casey McLean for Panthers. Luminous Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys. League Heads Jack Williams for the Eels. Luminous Blaze Tairaki for Panthers. Game Breakers Loco Pacifica Tonga for the Dragons. Luminous Tom Starling for the Raiders. Red die cut, colour die cut, sorry, David Clemmer for the Dragons. Luminous Tamika Upton for the Broncos. I wasn't wrong though, it was red. League Heads Roger Tuivasa Shek for the Warriors. Luminous Tanila Paseka for Manly. Game Breakers Alifiana Canberra for Titans. Luminous Sam Walker for the Roosters. League Heads Murray Tairaki for Cowboys. Luminous John Bateman for the Cowboys. Bang Apsai Coruscant for Tigers. Luminous Jamin Salmon for the Bulldogs. Game Breakers Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Luminous Cameron Munster for Storm. League Heads Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs. Luminous Brian Kelly for the Titans. Mercury Dominic Young for the Knights, number 372. Luminous Bailey Simonson for the Eels. League Heads Tommy Turbo for Manly. Luminous Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Bang Kale Iro for the Sharks. Luminous Luciano Leilua for the Dragons. Colour die cut Trent LaRoe for Storm. Luminous Chance Nico Klokstad for the Warriors. League Heads Moses Sulai for the Dragons. Luminous Ethan Sanders for Raiders. Triumph Tommy Turbo for Manly. Luminous William Kennedy for the Sharks. Game Breakers Tiana Penatani Gray for the Sharks. Luminous Soteli Tupanua for the Bulldogs. League Heads Connor Watson for the Roosters. Luminous Jesse Ramian for the Sharks. Game Breakers Jerome Hughes for Storm. Luminous Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors. Gladiators Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Number 17. There's a one. Luminous Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Now you got a few packets left. Where are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 6 last packet. We like that 6 last packet. We seem to pick that point to count them. League Heads Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Luminous Sanua Taruva for Tigers. Game Breakers Cooley Kefu for the Dolphins. Luminous Will Penasini for the Eels. Bang Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Luminous Jonah Pezzett for the Storm. 3 packets left for the case. League Heads Hudson Young for the Raiders. Luminous Shaun Russell for the Eels. Bang William Kennedy for the Sharks. Luminous Zali Hopkins for the Dragons. And lucky last pack for the case. Here we go. Game Breakers Bradman Best for the Knights. Luminous Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs. And that's the end of the case. Let's keep going and get stuck straight into the hobby boxes. Box number 1. And this is the first of our breaks that we've had 2 hobby boxes. So let's hope we've got something big in at least one of them, if not both. How good would that be? Luminous Spencer Lenu for the Roosters. Number 159. Luminous Jerome Luai for the Tigers. Number 252. Alright. Our Mercury Sterling, number 9. Not a jersey number. Jack Whiten for Rabbitohs. I feel like the Rabbitohs have done pretty well. Do you know what this week's pick the score is, Dad? No worries, just asking. Luminous Hudson Young for the Raiders. Gold die cut Brian To'o for Panthers, number 153. Luminous Leka Halasima for the Warriors, number 513. And Gold Gladiator John Bateman for the Cowboys, number 98. Luminous Hammer for the Dolphins, number 173. There we go, Panthers Eels Saturday afternoon. Hopefully that'll be a good game. Luminous Cohen Hess for the Cowboys, number 222. Probably. Gold die cut Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys, number 190. See, I'd be happy just to be in the game. If we're in the game at the end, I think we've done well. Panthers are on fire at the moment. I did pick Eels in my tips, so I can't help it. A Luminous Nico Hines for the Sharks, number 589. Etched, number 73. Charlie Geimer for the Eels. And just a reminder, the pick the score did go off this round just gone. So it will go back to a $50 gift card, which jackpot every round it doesn't go off by $25. Leher Bawate Luminous Manly, number 670. And just in case I didn't say it, it is a Gold Coast Trading Cards website gift card, guys, to be spent on the website. Dominic Young in the Knights Gold die cut, number 52. Luminous Morgan Smithies for the Raiders, number 268. Luminous Isaiah Yeo for Panthers, number 221. Got another gold die cut, this time Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs, number 250. Luminous Dylan Brown for the Knights, number 583. Gold Gladiators Liam Martin for Panthers, number 18. Luminous Clinton Gutherson for the Dragons, 131. Luminous Ben Hunt for the Broncos, number 1. Oh, there we go. That's what we like. And I don't even have my team list up. I've forgotten. Johnny D with the Broncos. There we go. Congrats on that one. Tom Gilbert, gold die cut for the Dolphins, number 21. Now, I think in those Luminous, with how many of them are, a number 1 is quite special. But I don't know. That's Luminous Asaya Iongi, number 660. I think it's a bit different for everyone as far as the numbers are concerned. Some people care, some people don't. Playmakers, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos, number 51. Four packets left for our first hobby box. Luminous Jack Whiten for the Rabbitohs, number 126. And we got etched Jojo Fafita for the Titans, 142. And another instant win. The scary thing is, I think this is the same team. Matt Burton, Luminous for the Bulldogs, number 108. I'm going to grab one of these cards. Oh, I can't get off. There we go. I think the winner of the instant wins now has 2 in the same team. Luminous Jamie Chapman for the Titans, number 424. Gold die cut, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm, number 52. Luminous Abby Church for the Eels, number 588. And our etched Davy Mole, number 103 for the Rabbitohs. That wasn't a bad hobby box. We had a number 1 Luminous and an instant win. Yeah. Let's get into the second one and see how we go. Alright, last box of the break, our second hobby box. Let's get it done. Luminous Kurt Mann for the Bulldogs, number 352. Next up, we have our Mercury, oh God, it's just gone blank, Sterling. Big Naz, number 47 for Storm. Luminous Jermaine McEwen for the Knights, number 158. Gold die cut for Panthers, Blaze Tairaki, number 91. Luminous Jesse Ranian for the Sharks, number 351. Luminous Mitchell Barnett for the Warriors, number 176. Gold die cut, Marata Nakor for the Warriors, 235. Luminous Ben Trbojevic for Manly, number 569. Gold Gladiators, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos, number 5. Oh, there's 2 low numbered cards for the Broncos. Luminous Sanua Taruva for the Tigers, 709. Next up, gold die cut, Luciano Leilua for the Dragons, number 33. Luminous Will Penasini for the Eels. Luminous Jonah Pezzett for the Storm, number 435. And we got etched Aaron Clark for the Warriors, number 47. Luminous Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders, number 679. Luminous Teddy for the Roosters, number 468. Luminous Max Plath for the Dolphins, number 16. Once again, out of 725, that is quite a low number, guys. We've had some really good numbers in amongst these. Hammer etched for the Dolphins, 133. Luminous Cameron Murray for the Rabbitohs, number 570. And we have another low number, number 3 of 50 in the Triumph. AJ Brimson for Titans. Now, if that was a signature, it would have went down here, but it was just a black, so we will put that in the tray. Close. Oh, that's good. We like filling gaps. Luminous Regan Campbell and Gillard for the Titans, number 74. Gold die cut, Homoli Olika R2, 118 for Manly. We got 5 packets left, guys. Luminous Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys, number 533. Playmakers Chance Nicole Klokstad, number 16 for the Warriors. Still continuing on with those low numbers. And that's my opinion, guys. Everyone else might not agree that they are low, but I think we've had some real low ones. Blaze Tairaki, number 428 for Panthers. 3 packets left. Here we go on the final run. Luminous Tom Starling for the Raiders, number 63. Brian Kelly, gold die cut for Titans, number 211. Luminous Tamika Upton for the Broncos, number 344. Bronson Sherry in the etched for Bulldogs, number 156. And we are down to our last packet, guys. Lucky last for the break. Luminous Zali Hopkins for the Dragons, number 203. And we have a gold die cut, John Bateman for the Cowboys, number 225. Alright, well that is the end of the packets, so let's get stuck into these case hits. First up is our gold triumph for the Tigers team, number 43. Get in there, there we go. 43 up in that corner. Alright, next along. Premiership Predictor, number 54 for the Titans. There we go, Lee. Alright, next up. Dally M Predictor. Now, this is the one I said was a big one and started the whole conversation earlier. Number 64, Nathan Cleary. We got Lauren Plath with Panthers. There we go, Lauren. Happy days. Oh, and I was right. So we're going to do both of them. Our first instant win, along with our second instant win for the Sharks. Congratulations, Terry. 2 instant wins in the one break, mate. Not bad at all. So that's the one out of the hobby, guys. There is no difference. Not that we're aware of anyway. Alright, let's keep going. Dally M Predictor wildcard number 39 for the Dolphins. Mr. Bignell. Alright, next up, Clive Churchill Predictor number 105 for the Bulldogs. And lucky last hit of the break, Dally M, number 83. Now, when you hit things like this and you get things like the bonus blaster box, it's hard to stay away from those spot razzes. Dally M, Damien Cook, number 83 for the Dragons to finish us off. And definitely wasn't a bad break, I believe. Would love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to go and check the available teams on the website to be a part of the next one. Until then, guys, hope you